เปลี่ยนมาแล้วใช่ป่ะ
สวัสดีครับ
ก็
พี่โรโด
พอดีเปลี่ยนเครื่อง
อ๋อครับ
แอคเคาเมื่อวันก่อนหนั้านนี่มันเสียใช่ป่ะโอเคเอาวันนี้เห็นหน้านิดนึงนะครับหลังจากไม่ได้เจอกันนานอะเป็นไงบ้างผมทุกวันนี้
อ๋อก็สอบรอบใหญ่เสร็จแล้วครับสอบอีกทีก็ตุลาเลยครับ
อ๋อหมายถึงว่าตอนนี้ก็คือก็เรียนทั่วไปใช่ไหมครับ
ใช่
โอเค
ครับใช่
ไม่น่ามีปัญหานะครับ อ่ะโอเคถ้าอย่างนั้นเดี๋ยวเราเริ่มเลยแล้วกัน so today right okay so we can see from this week right I thinkเดี๋ยวนะขอดูกัน so yeah, so shall we start for the first question here? So this is the discussion for week 12, right? For week 12 here. So you can see from the first question first, if someone discover a formula that would enable us to live forever, would that be blessing or a curse? So it means that you have to make sure or try to compare between the two pros and cons, basically, right? Let's say like positive consequences or even negative drawback, things like that, right? And anyway, we have to understand that what this formula that could be enabled us to live forever. Is that related to the DNA or scientific research? I'm not sure, right? Or any kind of like a new trend or what phenomenon that we are going to see for further, right? I'm not sure too, because I just want to hear from you too. We can share to each other, right? So just raise the example must be clear a bit. For example, if you want to raise example for human cloning, for example, or even example of like AI robotic, right? That can be done everything instead of us things like that, right? And then try to give a reason why. Firstly, secondly, thirdly, things like that. All right. Okay.
ผม
Okay.
โอ
I'm
เค
going to give you for 5 minutes to prepare for this question. Is you ready? Just turn on the microphone there. Yep.
โอเค เอ่ม in my opinion, I think that if scientists appear to provide a formula that enable us to live forever, I think it will be a blessing rather than a curse. This is due to the fact that to be able to live forever doesn't mean that you can't die. I think that the idea of living forever is just like that you will not get old and you can die naturally. However, I think that is impossible to be to not be able to die because there is something that is called euthanasia or something like that you can decide to die if you think that you are content with your life now. So in other words, I think that to be this formula will not make people not able to die, but instead it make people who don't want to die live forever.
I see.
What my point is that although they don't die by naturally, they can still die by themselves if they want to decide to die. So I think that it's like it gives more option to people to choose whether they want to live how long. Yes.
All right. Yeah, I just searched for some information on the internet here because it is a new topic for me too. I think that I do agree and I'm quite agree with that there like a human cannot be live or survive for the rest of their life, right? Just because we have to face with the reality of like dying from something here, right? And for these science science articles here, they say that some kind of like let's say extraordinary creatures maybe in the deep sea, right, or the planet can be happen for that, but I don't think that it could be just a human, right? I mean, like maybe it's just a creator that is we never seen it before, things like that. So back into the reality of human that you mentioned that we have to accept that we cannot even live forever. So one day we have to die, right? So it means that for all of us to expect that we have to live longer, we try to reduce our age, right? For example, like try to make our life become younger, or like let's say like become not really that we are going to be getting old, right? So this one it might be an important for the medical scientists or even medical research that we can apply to that, let's say chemical substances or even DNA, things like that, right? And we have to develop what are going to be a positive one, right? So my question is that just because if we focus on the like the bad consequences, for just because here it doesn't mean that every someone or some creator can exist long longer without dying, right? Just because if we are human, we have to face with the die. So what do you think about the bad consequences if something happened in reality that one thing cannot be die or even fade away from this world?
Well, I think that the problem that I think at the first time is that it will lead to something like world war. Yeah.
All right.
The reason behind this is that to not be able to live forever mean that people will only increase this amount. Yeah.
The date ratio
and
might not.
yes, and
we have to
there will be
balance,
like
right?
overpopulation in the world.
I
The
see.
resource will be scarce.
Yeah.
And when the resource will be when the resource is scarce, every country will try to use everything to dominate other country to be able to get the resource.
Mm,
The case like this has happened in past.
mhm,
It's it occur allow the revolution of the revolution of technology that make people make the number of people like grow a lot, and
mm,
this finally lead to some some um, some dominant country like England or France try to go to other country in Asia to dominate to dominate that area and loot from them, as you can
mhm,
see from the history. Yeah,
mhm.
so I think that if if we are able to live forever, we need to consider about this problem too.
All right. So it means that it caused overpopulation around the world, right? Right now,
Yes.
do we face the overpopulation actually? I mean, just because we can see from a Chinese population, so they can limit, right? What I understand is that they have to limit a child just for a parent who have a child, they're gonna have just only one child per parent per family, things like that, right? So it means that it try to limit overpopulation. So meaning that during this time, even this kind of thing doesn't happen yet. So we face for the reality of overpopulation already, right? So a lot of like resources or thing like that you mentioned, limited resources have to, consume or even use a lot, things like that, right? Okay. Mm.
Yes.
Good. Thank you so much for your sharing there. Okay. Moving to second question here. I'm going to read for you first. So for this question
Okay.
is too long, right? Some people, some educators argue that every child in every school should have access to the computer. So it should be like that. And it must be like that, I can say. And others believe that the value of computers in a classroom is overrated and that computers may actually interfere with the learning process. Is that right? So what we
Yes.
need to, for this question is kind of like they try to lead the direction of bad consequences or intervening during learning process, right? But I think that technology or even access into the computer here uh, give a lot of benefits. So you have to convince what can be the bad effect of that. Okay. In your opinion, how important are computers in the classroom? And then just try to use specific reason or example that you can talk about your previous experience as you're a learner or even during this time that you use computer in every day, right? Or even try to connect with the things or reality that technology or computer has been added into our lives from time to time, right? Okay, I'm going to give you for 5 minutes here, and if you're ready, just turn on your microphone there. Yep.
Okay. in my opinion, I think that the benefit of computers is really important nowadays. That it is like the the internet revolution phase in the world.
Yep.
Yeah. And because of this, educators need to know how to use their tools to be more effective, the most effective. Have you ever heard about ChatGPT?
Yes, I used to do that.
Yes.
I'm currently using it because it's worked for me. Because right
Yes.
now I can check that let's say like during this time I teach at university, right? At SWU, and then once I assign some assignment from a student, especially for written exam, right? Written paper or some assignment here, I have to check that they can copy from the ChatGPT because they can do a great essay by using this kind of application, right? It's very fantastic.
It can
actually.
even create that exam for teacher.
Yeah, that's correct. So maybe it's a pros and cons. Yeah.
Yes, it is. I mean, if we use it in the right way, it can answer every question that we have about lesson in our school or university.
Right.
For me, it can even answer any question in medical exam. Yeah.
Right.
And
So
the answer is
are you
true.
now using it too? Do you
Yes,
use ChatGPT, right? Okay.
When I have a question about why something has to be like this in medicine, I always ask ChatGPT and it always provide me a correct answer.
Right. Just because it's kind of straightforward than Google, right? So once we search the information from the Google, is kind of broad or lots of information that cannot be straightforward to that answer. But for ChatGPT, it's kind of like to me personally, I think that it's very useful and very straightforward, but it means that for my let's say like I am one of the educators too. It's hard for me to evaluate or even judge student writing assignment just because I haven't.
Oh yes, they can copy from ChatGPT.
Like when I check or when I prove the let's say like a writing assignment from a student, right? So once some of them use ChatGPT, right? They quite the core content is quite perfect, and then the writing and grammatical errors cannot like it's free because I cannot find identify those kind of error from their work. So once I grade them, right? So it's the same. I mean like they can get almost A, or I mean like they can get a very impressive score from that. But for the university setting, I mean like the core evaluation here, we have to acknowledge that it is impossible that everyone can do the same thing from the same work. I mean, like grading the same grade is impossible in reality. So we have to double check again and again. So just because the usefulness of ChatGPT, right? Yep. So it's important,
can I
right?
ask one question? Why don't you make an exam in on-site way?
No. Right now, we let's say like for this semester, we've been studying or even setting a learning activity into on-site already. So back into like a 2 or 3 year during COVID time, so we have to accept that everything is online, right? And for university, I mean like exam for the university, we have to focus on written exam instead of like a multiple choice or even like a ABC, multiple choices, right? So meaning that I cannot even evaluate just because when I did it, and then we have to let the other teacher try to check again that that makes sense, or the student can do this based on their previous I mean like a previous assignment too, just because maybe they can just put for some important assignment to consult with chatbot GPT here. You know what I mean? Yeah, so it depends, right? But anyway, it's a so what do you think? Okay, let's talk about the negative thing, just because we know lots of effectiveness from here, right? So do you think once you rely on the chatbot GPT a lot, I mean like for a part of because humans have to use the brain to analyze or criticize thinking, analytical thinking skill or whatever here. Just because it limits the ability to write, so you cannot even produce what you are thinking and then written into that way, right? Because they provide correct information already.
Yes.
So do you think that the what can be possible bad consequences for using this? Yeah.
For me, I think that the cons of using ChatGPT too much is that you will lose an ability to to search for the information by yourself because using ChatGPT is like a cheat way to obtain information that you want, and in reality there are some information that you can get just by using ChatGPT,
So we
but
have to
you need
see the
to do some
reliability, reliable resources or
yes.
not, right? Okay. Yeah. Understood. So what about thinking skill? I mean, like just because some of me, I teach written language, right? Meaning that those students who study for undergrad, they're gonna go for their, to become a writer, a journalist in the future, right? So meaning that if they rely on, to me, this is what I'm concerned a bit as an educator, just because they have to, like get the hard skill for English is that writing skill, right? Because you need to
Yes.
think and you need to know a lot of information. You have to understand grammar, word choices, things like that. So it's very important for them to learn it. And then when this kind of ChatGPT substitutes the way that it can use as a tool for learning or assist them to do so. I'm really concerned that maybe writing skill can be limited in the future just because there is no one who want to write. You can use it just GPT here, right? Okay. So maybe this is maybe from my opinion or perspective, I can say that if we rely too much on ChatGPT, is quite good for absorbing for some information, but the skill or practicing skill, especially for writing skill or what you need to write based on what you're thinking at that time, it might be limited. So this is maybe the drawback for it, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Anyway, we have to rely on it, right? Just because it is important, because it's easy and I think it's useful. And I read every essay, right? Just because you can put some information and then they can draft the essay for you too, right? And then try to connect which one is writing by your own or which one is writing by chatbot GPT. Okay, right. Things like that. All right, moving to next question here. Sorry for that. Back. ทำไมเป็นอย่างนี้อันนี้มันเห็นอะไรบ้างเดี๋ยวนะแป๊บนึงนะฮะพี่ทำอะไรไปเมื่อกี้หมอทริป
ผมเห็น12.2ครับ
เดี๋ยวนะโอเคงั้นเดี๋ยวแป๊บหนึ่งทำไมอ่านไม่ได้เลยโอเคแป๊บหนึ่งนะครับ all right so blah, blah, blah. Okay, again. So for this question, right, we're gonna have time to, right? So moving to next question here. Should the United States invest more time, money, and effort in space exploration? And why not? So we have to focus on space exploration and what can contribute to the space exploration here. So what we need to, I would say that just because when it comes to talking about space exploration, we have to focus on the technology advancements, right? That we haven't seen it before or what happened next in the future. And based on the evidence for space exploration that we can send some satellite to the outside of the world. So things like that, right? Again, right? So here, the factors that that we have to reconsider again is that time. Is that you have to put the time to do so, or put a lot of money, or even effort to those skillful scientists, especially those people who really interested in the space exploration expertise in that field, right? And all right, so I think for this question, you have to talk about the important or significance of the space exploration first, and then you have to try that. Do you think it is possible to do so when comparing that we have to put time, money, or even effort into it a lot, right? I'm going to give you for 5 minutes here, and then if you're ready, just turn on the microphone. Yep.
Okay. Um, I
Uh-huh.
I think that we should invest more time, money, and effort in space exploration.
Mm-hmm.
This is because I think that we need to discover new that something new that don't exist in the world,
Mm,
and if we are able to discover many things like this,
mm,
we can use it to improve our technology advancement. Um, I always have heard about the debates between whether we should explore the sea or the space or the space.
mm,
Yeah. I think that exploring the deep sea will not find anything but bizarre creature that
mm,
that are tolerant to pressure, and if we know the mechanism of this creature, we and so what we didn't we it seems like we will not be able to use it to improve our daily life that much, but
mm,
on the other hand, if we know about the mechanism um of of the things that happen in the space, like black hole or the the sun like this,
mm,
we
mm,
can use it to improve our technology advancements. For example, is that um the many people know that sun the the ways that sun create heat is different from is different from the ways we use it. It's like it is a nuclear power that is different to what we have right now. Yeah, and if we are able to understand this, we can provide a more advanced way to create energy with a less amount of resource use. Yeah, so that's why I think that we should we should spend more resource for space exploration,
I
because
see.
the result that we will get is quite good.
So you agree that we have to invest on this kind of space exploration, right? Mhm.
Yes, indeed.
All right. Okay, good. I think so. Even sometime I'm a little bit inquiry for what possible to see something like this, right? Just because it's far beyond what what we have faced or experienced in reality, right? Space exploration. But I think that in terms of science, I mean, especially for new astrology, all right, astrology or even scientific exploration. So I think space exploration here is a one way to develop new things too. For example, like machine or even those let's say what equipment, right, or things like that. And I would say that it's not everyone who can do or committed to this kind of working as a space explorer or even scientist that is commit you have to take a risk or even you have to dare to do so, right? So this kind of thing is not I would say that it's just specified to those people who really want to, keen on, or even really interested in this kind of space exploration. So, for example, like those who want to, for example, like those who want to become to be a pilot. So they have screening tests, right? Your mind, your mental ability, your strength, or things like that. So, to me, I think that it's not just creativity, but it's hard to find someone who can be responsible for this kind too. So even it invest it, we have to reconsider lots of factors to make it happen too. Anyway, I'm partially agree just because I think that just now for further development of science is fine to explore the space exploration here, but back into reality, we can see like malnutrition or the place that people problems or even society problems that have happened from time to time. So I think that in terms of money investment, it should be allocated to other kind of necessity or even things important too. Yep. All right, shall we move to the last question for today? Right, man. All right, some people believe that students are not learning enough in high school. Are not learning enough. So you have to look back for your high school experience, right? And should school standard be higher than that? Explain your answer, your specific reasons and example. And if a student are not learning from the school, right? So what kind of resources of learning that they can learn any kind of, for example, like during this time, you have to say like a digital learning platform is common. So what we need to see if those students are not learning enough in high school, what should be the other learning platform that they can learn or acquire some new lead? Hand, right? Hand in hand here. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to let you prepare a bit, and then if you're ready, you can turn on the microphone here. Mhm.
โอเค For me, I really agree the fact that we should improve school standard to be higher. From my experience, I
Mm-hmm.
think that the problem isn't that the school standard is too low, but
Mm,
instead the problem is about that they teach the things that the student can use the information that they learn. Um, I think that most students have the same goal for learn um for learning at school, which is that they want to use the lesson that they learn from school to do an entrance exam. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
and as you quite know, the lesson that is taught in school doesn't doesn't like relate to the entrance exam that much, which makes many students do very low score on entrance exam, and many of them need to rely on the tutor academy instead. Yeah,
Right.
and this is like some inequality between the ones that can pay for tutor academy and
Mm-hmm.
the ones that can't pay.
The cost
Yeah, so I
price.
think that the main problem isn't that the standard is too low, but it is that the standard is quite bending from what people really need.
Mm-hmm. I see. Dude, thank you so much for your sharing here. All right, some people believe their students are not learning enough in high school. Mm-hmm. Partially correct for some reasons, right? Just because due to the curriculum of education too. So I would say that for some program, especially for science mathematic programs, so just those high school who prepare students for studying medicine or even medical track, so they can be intensive training program. I mean, like I have no idea much, but in Thai it should be like that, right? For example, 3M Udom or M with things like that, so they can have a core curriculum that intends students to study hard. By the way, however, I can say that just because those students are smart or wise student, I can say, so they can find another opportunity to find the high quality or the best quality that they seek for university preparation too. So I think for some schools, they can learn enough if they want to keep a track or for what they want to pursue in the university level, right? Um, all right. So apart from that, when it comes to talk about differences between other countries too, let's say like I used to be one of the exchange student, right? I study in bank. Let's say like in study high school first, and then I have a chance to do exchange student in America. I would say that the high school there is how can I say, it's not that much intensive, but it it teach me how to survive, how to play, and how to understand the reality of the life. For example, like they try to convince other students to learn how to independent when it comes to working with collaboration to others, or even they try to let student convince some student or all of high school students to understand that traveling can broaden or even explore new things for more things like that. And so it's kind of a different because maybe a student cannot learn from their a classroom at a high school, but it depends on the curriculum too, and the standard of learning is depend. And anyway, when it comes to right now, at present time, we have to see that learning is not limited into the classroom, right? Just because we have TikTok, we have Facebook,
Yeah.
Instagram, or even YouTube is a very great channel for learning, right? Such as a language or even a science, things like that. So I would say that it depends on times to time. Right now, 21st century, you have to admit that every student can learn by themselves. So it means that they just got a degree from the high school just because they have to pass for the examination and enter to the university. But all in all, I think that they cannot even get much more information or even knowledge from the high school in the real setting of high school in Thailand, right? And anyway, it depends on what you are going to seek any knowledge or what you want to study more and more, right? Just because if you are going to study for a medical track, what you need to do is that you have to really hard and intensive prepare for yourself or even gaining knowledge from a high school in order to compete with others too, right? Anyway, however, there's people who really want to become a future artist, so they can practice the training program or even languages or things like that. So it's different field of study too. So anyway, it depends on the preferences here, right? ประมาณนั้นนะครับเป็นไงบ้างวันนี้วันนี้เปลี่ยนสถานการ
ก็
ณ์นะ
พูดคล่องครับ
อะไรนะดีขึ้นนะครับโอเค
ครับ
ก็พยายามทำ turn taking อย่างนี้แหละนะครับเพราะว่า story มันก็เป็นเรื่อง discuss นะฮะอันนี้เป็น main discuss เป็นหลักเราก็อาจจะต้องแบบให้เวลาคิดนิดนึงนะครับ brain list แล้วก็ค่อยพูดนะแต่พี่ว่าก็ปล่อย flow ไปอย่างนี้ไปก่อนแล้วกันนะเพราะมันก็คือ speaking มันไม่มีอะไรมากมันต้องพูดอย่างเดียว alright I have to finish a class just only this and then see you next time เดี๋ยว text พี่มานิดนึงนะว่าจะเรียนวันไหนสรุปว่าวันเสาร์ถ้าไม่ได้ก็เดี๋ยววันว่ากันอีกทีหนึ่งแล้วกันนะครับโอเค thank you so much for today class and see you bye bye ขอบคุณ
พี่
ค
โด
รับ
โดสวัสดีครับ